Hello, everybody. So nice to see you guys. It's been a couple of weeks since I filmed another podcast. I am here with, you guys know, the love of my life. It's Harvey. He is laying down. You can see his body here. Anytime I'm working, he just loves to come up here and just chill. So, for those of you, I have a couple of new subscribers, so thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being in this space. I really value this space. This is where I get very raw, vulnerable. I may cry. Let's see. Um, just a space where, again, I can share what I've been through. Maybe you've been through the same thing, or you're currently in early stages of grief. For those of you that are new here, this is the Loving Life and Loss podcast. So I'm Christina. I run this all by myself, and I basically was inspired by the loss of my dad. I did do like an introductory welcome podcast, so I encourage you to go and watch that. Today is the 20th, so yesterday has been 11 months since my dad has been in heaven, and I cannot believe it's going to be a year next month. I having a very difficult time wrapping my head around that, and even still that he's not with us. It's just really odd. And kind of unnatural at times. So today I really wanted to talk about the recent trip that we had. And my mom, my sister, and I, we did a girls' trip to Hawaii. And while Hawaii is beautiful, it's fun, this trip was very cathartic. It was sad. It was helped in our healing, at least in my healing journey. So there is a backstory of why we went to Hawaii, and mainly to the island of Oahu specifically. So my dad served in the Navy for many years. I was born in a naval hospital, and so was my sister. My father was stationed in Kaneohe Bay, which is on the island of Oahu. So I was born in California on a naval base, and just a couple months after I was born, my dad got restationed to Hawaii. So we lived there for about 3 years. We have beautiful pictures and videos, but I just don't remember it too much. You know, I was little, I was a toddler, and we had never been back as a family. My dad was kind of, all right, I've been there, done that, why do I need to go back? That's just how he was. So after he passed, my mom was like, all right, we're going to go. My sisters always wanted to go to Hawaii to see where she was born. We ended up taking a trip when I was like a teenager to California. I saw where I was born. So that is the main reason why we did this Hawaii trip. And we were able to go to a lot of the beaches that my parents took us to when we were toddlers. And we just visited a lot of spots. We, of course, did, fun tourist things. We went to a beach called Kailua Beach. It was absolutely beautiful. And that was a beach that my parents took us to when we were little. And when I stood on the beach, I felt this peace over me. And I felt like I had been there before. And I felt such peace, like it was familiar to me. But again, I don't remember anything. I was a young girl, and I really feel that when I put my feet, we didn't go in the water, we just put our feet in the sand. When I stood there, I felt like my dad was with me, because the peace that I felt, it was beautiful, it was comforting, it was familiar to me. And I stood there, I soaked it in so much, and it was just like really beautiful. And, the three of us, we sat down, my mom would, tell us stories, and my sister was born there, like I mentioned, and, there were some complications with my mom's pregnancy. She had to be delivered early. Then I got a very bad right hip bone infection. I think I was about a year and a half. And then I was able to see the hospital. It was this Army hospital that I had to be in. I was there for almost a month, and my dad graduated from, I think it was Wayland. He got his bachelor's degree, and the doctors told, because my mom begged, like, can I please take her out? And, they're like, you take her out by this time. She needs to be back for her antibiotics. So thankfully I was able to go see my dad graduate. And I remember, I think I was wearing like this cute little pink dress. And I remember my dad holding me, and my mom was like, yeah, you had a board for your IV. I was like, oh my gosh. So that was really cool to see. And then, we saw Pearl Harbor, which was really nice. And what else? We went to Waikiki Beach, which my mom had taken us to. And, again, we did all the things. And we just, we had moments where we just cried because, just thinking of all the beautiful memories, my parents had as young parents. And, my parents didn't have a lot of money. My mom had to potty train me at 18 months because they couldn't afford, 2 kids in diapers. So my mom, if you met her, like, she'll do what she has to do and she doesn't complain about it. And that's just how she is. So, just hearing stories of their life and military, so that was really beautiful. And then, we, again, like I said, we had times where we just cried and we missed him and miss him so much. And just being on that island, it was, like I said before, it was very cathartic. It was just nice to see like that different side of my dad. So my dad was very, very proud to serve in the Navy. And he was actually a corpsman. So he did a lot of like blood work. He helped the Marines out. So the Kaneohe Bay is a Marine base. But since my dad was a corpsman for the Marines, that's where they lived. So thankfully we were able to get on base, and we were able to see like the street that we lived on and just a bunch of things. It was just really beautiful. And again, another big part in our healing, right? So it was sad to leave because, it did feel like we were leaving a piece of my dad there and we couldn't bring him back with us. But it was just nice for the 3 of us to all be there. And then, so my mom, I don't even remember, like a few months ago, I think before we booked the trip, she's like, we should all get tattoos. And I was like, what? At first, I was like totally against it. I was not big in tattoos. I'm like, I would never do that to myself. But in grief, you do things you never thought you would do. Like, let's just be honest. That's just how grief is, right? So I remember then when I let it marinate, I'm like, okay, like I could see this. Like, I would do it. So I told him, like, why don't we get tattoos in Hawaii? Like, the 3 of us are going to be there. My sister was like, I don't know. So anyways, here I have a tattoo. And one lady, she lost her husband. She was telling me that you can get, like, do something very symbolic. And at first I told the 3 of them, I'm like, why don't we get loving life tattooed on us? Because that was my dad's mantra. And now I'm really big on, like, love the life that you're in, like, live, right? So when she said that, I was like, oh, I would love to get something of my dad on me. So I was looking at my cards, looking at notebooks that, I had of his, and I didn't find anything that said loving life, nothing. So I was like, all right, well, what the heck am I going to do? So every card that he had, and then when I graduated nursing school, everything said love dad. So I was like, oh, okay. So I brought 2 cards with me that says love dad, and that's what I got. It says love dad in my dad's handwriting. And I thought this was going to be so painful. I texted a really good friend and asked him, I'm like, I'm really nervous. I don't know. I thought about changing my mind, and honestly, it really didn't hurt. Like, it barely hurt. And then when I looked down at my forearm, it just almost took my breath away, and then my eyes got watery, and I just felt that I had a piece of him, like, on me. And when I looked down at it, it brings me so much comfort. And my mom and my sister, they each got their own, special meaning. So at first I was going to do it on my right forearm here, but as you can see, I like to wear a lot of jewelry. My dad and I loved watches. So I thought, all right, let me just reposition it on my left forearm, and it worked out perfectly there. So it was a very beautiful thing for the three of us to do together. And my biggest takeaway for this specific podcast is, if your loved one recently passed away and there's a place they wanted to go to, there's a place that has so much memories for you that you've talked about going to as a family, but unfortunately didn't get the chance to, take the trip and just do it. Because life is too short. And I never thought I would get a tattoo. I swore myself I wouldn't, and here I am. And if you take that trip, and I can understand being scared to do it, you don't want to do it, it's going to be painful. I know. But you know that already. You know it's going to be painful. You know it's going to bring back memories. But it's just those beautiful memories that really help in your healing journey. And you're going to see your loved one here and there. Like, we saw my dad in many different ways, and that just made us feel better. We're like, oh my gosh, like, how is this happening right now? So please take the trip. Don't wait until, I don't know. We're always making excuses. We're always making excuses to not do something. We talk ourselves out of it. But don't. Like, if you had a loss, and if they wanted to take a trip somewhere and you couldn't do it, please just do it. I promise you are going to have no regrets about it. And if you do, we'll have to talk. But yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you guys, and why we went to Hawaii. And it was a beautiful time that the three of us really got to share together, with no husband, no kids. It's just the core, right? The core four minus my dad. So it was a trip that was unforgettable, and it was just really cool to learn a different side of my dad, and to understand like how proud he was. Just so grateful that we were able to do that. And I hope you guys do take a trip, and leave a comment. Is there somewhere that your loved one wanted to go, that you're scared to go? I would love to know, and I hope you take that trip. As always, please like, subscribe, leave a comment if you enjoyed this. Like I said, next year marks a year, so please keep us in your prayers as we figure out what to do to honor my dad on the day he left this earth and went into the Lord's presence. And know that I'm praying for you, whatever you're going through. And I know life isn't easy. I know that your life can turn in a second. Your whole world can collapse in a second. And that is like the worst feeling ever. And if you are going through that, my advice to you is take a breath. Cry. Please be angry, all the things. And find somebody that you can lean on. I think my email's in here if you ever need somebody to talk to. Just know that I'm here for you, and I love you guys, and thank you for being here. Bye.